Howdy everybody, Nathan Adlin here with the Fast Lane Car, and guess what? We've got another mashup coming right up. Two very interesting cars. I've got the BMW X1.
And of course I have the brand new Wrangler, and they're very similar, so that's why we like to take them and we like to see which one is better off-road. What do you think, Nathan?
I think we're going to beat the crap out of both of them.
That's right. No, we're just kidding. This is another behind-the-scenes video where we show you how we get to do our videos and how we do our jobs. Nathan?
That's right, and this is one of the places we come to get vehicles. It's Automotive Media Solutions in Denver, Colorado.
They manage a press fleet. Coming up next on the Fast Lane Car. All right, Paul, tell me about, what does AMS do?
Automotive Media Solutions is we basically a media fleet management company. We work for all the big car companies. Pretty much you could consider us to be like the middleman between a journalist and the actual media, the manufacturer. So we facilitate loans of all the media press cars to the journalists in 5 states, including Colorado, and we basically maintain the vehicles, we schedule them, we make sure that safety checks are done on all the vehicles, we prepare them before they go out on a media loan to members of, whether it's a newspaper, television station, a website. We move these vehicles around to different states so that we can get them in the hands of the top writers and media guys to review.
And what's your personal background?
I have a long history in the auto industry. I've been an automotive editor, writer, race car driver, automotive executive with Ford Motor Company. So I've occupied all sides of the automotive business.
And now you're kind of in the middle. You're kind of straddling two worlds, journalism and the manufacturer.
Now I'm in the middle, and now I'm a service provider of sorts, I guess, to the auto industry. And it certainly helps having my background because I have an understanding of what it takes to review a car. I know how journalists write up cars. I know how they approach the review process. And I know how to drive a car. I know how to look for faults in a car. And I'm able to feel, when I get in a car, I can pretty soon feel if there's an issue with that vehicle. It's riding by the seat of your pants feel from racing cars. You get a real sensitivity to feeling if a vehicle's got a vibration, if something's going wrong with it. So it definitely all helps in what I do here, and I don't do as much of it on a daily basis because I'm running the company, but it helps to train my staff to understand what needs to be done to prepare a perfect vehicle for a media review.
Yeah, obviously walk me through that process. What has to happen to a car before it's lent out to a journalist?
Well, there's a lot of inspection processes. We deal with multiple manufacturers here, so every manufacturer has a different process for how they want their car prepared for a media loan. Of course, these vehicles get cycled through a lot of media, so there's in some cases they get driven hard, they get put through their paces. On some cases it may be a racetrack, it could be on an off-road course, it could be on a snowy gravel road in the mountains. So basically we always want to check for, when a car comes back from a loan and before it goes out to another media entity or person, we have to go through a bunch of checks. We want to make sure the vehicle is mechanically sound. We want to do fluid checks. We want to do, dynamic driving tests. And again, it all depends on the manufacturer, but a lot of them want us to do different noise, vibration, and harshness tests. We have checklists and checklists that we have to go through on these products to make sure that they get to you or the media guy in a really good condition.
Now, obviously, a lot of people are out there wondering how they get to review cars. So, is that a process that is easy to get into, or is that something that is vetted, and how does that work?
Yeah, I would say it's not simple. It's like anything. It's it's a privilege to have all the ability to drive all these different vehicles, and with that comes responsibility, and the responsibility is that every vehicle that goes to a media person, the whole process costs a lot of money, and basically a manufacturer would like to see some return on their investment, being the loan vehicle. So typically the media are vetted by their demographics, what their target audience is, their target size, their experience, their popularity. Those are all factors that go into account when the decision's made whether or not to loan a car to a media person. Of course, there are also people that have abused vehicles, and there's also rules and regulations pertaining to their behavior when they have a vehicle, and abuse, and the sort of more common things like not drinking alcohol or doing silly things, burning out the clutch in a car or whatever. So it's a fine line, but typically it's not a simple process. They get vetted by us, they get vetted by the manufacturers, and it's based on several factors, but mainly it depends on their reach, their audience, and how big they are, and how popular and how relevant they are in the space they're in.
Now, of course, AMS also does more than just manage the fleet. You also put on events. I remember last year, for instance, Audi has a World Ski Cup that happens in Vail, and you're kind of the company behind all the Audis being there. Tell me about your event business.
Yeah, the event business is a big part of what we do. We're growing really fast in that area. It's basically involves a lot of logistical support on these events. We provide the vehicles for events. For example, the Ski World Cup is an interesting one because in this case you have to tow vehicles up a ski slope behind a snowcat to get it to the finish of the race. You're dealing with very tricky conditions. You're dealing with very hazardous conditions, extreme conditions. A couple of years ago it was minus 15 degrees the week we were working up at Beaver Creek, and it makes it very difficult to place cars on a mountain safely. So yeah, logistics, placement, the marketing work that goes into it. We also do a bit of PR. So what we do is a multitude of different services relating to the auto industry. It's fleet management, it's a bit of PR, it's a lot of marketing support as well.
Now here in Denver we have what's called the Rocky Mountain Automotive Press, which is an association of writers, print, broadcast, new media. How do you interact with the Rocky Mountain Automotive Press?
Well, it helps, my background as a journalist and having once been a president of this group certainly helps me understand and gives me a good foot in with RMAP. I know a lot of the people because I've worked and I serve on the board of RMAP. So how we work with them, we basically, these are people that we encourage or have encouraged to join the organization because it lends credibility to what they do, and it also helps us with our clients determine how serious a player they are in the automotive journalism space. So we also support RMAP with their events because we have this depth of event experience and event management experience. We help RMAP put on some of their events. We help run them, we help stage them, plan them. There's a lot of logistics, a lot of planning that goes into all this. So I guess at one point in my history, having a military background has some benefits because you have to work methodically and logically. So that's kind of what we do with RMAP.
Now I think a lot of people are probably under the misconception that as journalists we can get any car we want, but that's not the case. There's a set fleet that you manage, and I guess the question is, how do you determine, or how does a manufacturer determine what cars to put in that fleet? Why would Jeep, for instance, I'm just picking a random manufacturer, put a Wrangler versus a Cherokee, or do they put both? How does that process work? Do you help in that?
We do to some degree. To a large degree we don't. I guess the manufacturers, the big players, the Chryslers or Toyotas, have their planning departments that work out well in advance what's relevant in different markets. They'll pick vehicles based on the region. For example, we're in the Rocky Mountain region, so in the winter we won't see a lot of performance rear-wheel driven cars, for example. We'll see our fleet increase in four-wheel drives and SUVs in the winter. We'll see it decrease a bit in the summer, and then in the summer we'll see our performance cars, the rear-wheel driven, the Mustangs and the Shelby GTs and the Camaros and vehicles that may be more high performance, high powered. That size or fleet will increase in the summer. So we don't have a lot of say in it. A lot of it's determined by the manufacturers and their PR planning departments. But it depends on your region, and also how important your region is in the overall U.S. automotive market. For example, the Rocky Mountain region may not be a tier 1 because we don't have the buying populace that Los Angeles or New York has. So we may be a tier 2, which means we may not get the very first, we may not see Bugattis here on a regular basis or Lamborghinis or something like that. We'll see a vehicle that's going to be more suited to the target market of the region we're in.
Yeah, whereas LA may have those cars in their fleet.
Correct. The bigger markets definitely get. It also, relates to where what we call the buff books are. Some of the key big automotive players and writers. A lot of them are in Detroit. A lot of them are in California. So those two markets are most likely to get the sort of cream of the crop of press vehicles first before they filter out to secondary markets like ours.
And here in Denver, your business is growing, so where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Yeah, I think we've all worked hard here to grow our region. I think we've added a lot of new relevant media to our lists here in the region. A lot of it's due to the activity of RMAP, the Press Association here has done a great job in growing and expanding in the last 5 years, which in turn has had a boost on our business. We're always going to be a tier 2. Denver is never going to be a tier 1 LA or New York, so we're not expecting to outgrow them. I think for us the key growth is in the event business, is attracting more and more manufacturers to the beautiful Colorado roads, which it used to be an issue with altitude, that they feared that their vehicles wouldn't perform as well up here. They seem to have gotten over that fear. They realize, and journalists are not fools, they know that a vehicle loses, perhaps 18% of its power at altitude, but they're going to write accordingly. And I guess the open roads, the nature of our roads, the scenic beauty, just the ability to stage a great driving event here has helped us grow. It's helped the region grow, and it's helped RMAP grow. So we continue to grow, and we continue to believe that Colorado offers some of the best driving roads in the country.
All right, so you're probably wondering how you get to be an automotive journalist. I mean, we do have dream jobs, and we realize that. In my case, I started out as a TV reporter in Rockford, Illinois, and I have my master's degree from Northwestern University. How about you, Nathan?
Well, I started out in Los Angeles with the largest wrecking yard in Southern California, Adlin Brothers Auto Wrecking. That's when I was in high school and even in junior high. And then later on, I went to acting and theater school, and then after that, journalism school.
Perhaps the one thing, though, that everybody who's a TFL car has in common is that we have a passion for these cars. We're car guys, so we look at these things, and whether we're mashing them up or whether we're testing them, we're always looking at them from the point of view of an enthusiast.
Absolutely, and look, we want to be a little bit different, and we do short attention span reviews, so maybe we'll take one car and do 3 things with it, but you know what? They're going to be fun.
As always, this is Roman.
And Nathan.
See you next time on the Fast Lane Car.